Hello and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today I'm going to be talking about patch 12.23B and doing a top lane tier list on it. So this patch will be the one just before the new season hits. So what happens in this one will be what will most likely be going into patch 13 and then the new ranked climb. So unless I do any major changes, this will stay fairly true. If you enjoy the content, like and subscribe, and let's get into it. So to begin with, we're going to talk about the champs which just aren't doing very well. So for example, for the moment, Shyvana and Sion are going to be the only two champs which make a BE tier. Both of these are pretty self-explanatory. Sion loses to almost every single champion in the game at the moment. He is a stat stick tank, but he is very vulnerable to counter abilities, percentage health, stuff like this, which there is an excess amount of in the game at the moment. When things like Fiora, Zac, Mundo are the strongest champs in the current meta, he's just going to struggle. He doesn't beat a lot of the weaker ones either at the moment, so he just falls pretty far down. When Sunfire's was strong, he was like able to use the item to a good effectiveness as a he would walk over you and do a lot of damage, and he could help with objectives, stack it up, and do a lot of damage, and that's what made Sion really good. Now when you go Heartsteel Sion, you do damage, but you're not like radiating damage, so you lose the ability to do objectives as fast, and you lose the ability to push waves as quickly. Stuff like this, which were really handy tools on Sion and made him a really safe, blindable laner. But now he's the opposite. He's a very weak, vulnerable laner who doesn't scale particularly hard because so much percentage health. Shyvana, on the other hand, is almost completely faded out of the top lane. She doesn't do particularly well into a lot of the matchups. She benefited a lot more with old Iceborne over old Frostfire over new Iceborne. Her options aren't great at the moment either. They keep tagging her because of jungle Shyvana and that being strong. So Shyvana herself is not doing great in the top lane. Making up the D tier is going to be Sejuani. Sejuani's suffering from not having a great tank mythic at the moment. Heartsteel, although it synergizes well with her W, doesn't feel great to use, and in general, she's not doing the best with the current items. Ryze isn't in the E tier, which is good, I guess. Ryze wants Roa to be a good item, but is currently stuck between building Roa and Everfrost and Ludens. Ludens is probably his best build at the moment, but when Roa gets changed, hopefully we will see some more play out of Ryze. Ryze is a good top laner, probably better top laner than he is a mid laner. Yasuo is really struggling at the moment. Yasuo and Yone in general aren't the strongest they've been. Like they're actually falling pretty far at the moment. Shilbo isn't a great first mythic option, and they don't curve as well when they go Bork, and when you're going for Bork, you tend to go for an Iceborne option. So in general, Yasuo is kind of struggling in the current meta. He's definitely stronger mid lane, but yeah, I'd avoid playing Yasuo. Udyr doesn't have any damage in the top lane. It just doesn't exist. AD will still be his best build, most likely in the top lane, even with the nerfs to it and the buffs to AP. But what you can do in the jungle is you can just run around and assassinate people, whereas in the top lane you're against tankier threats, and losing a lot of damage in your AD form is really it makes you a lot weaker. Triforce is probably his best AD mythic, but he doesn't have any great tank ones. His best one is Jackshow, but he loses the damage from what Sunfire used to provide him. Yorick also falls down pretty far at the moment. Split pushing isn't amazing in the current state of the game. When split pushing is strong, you will see things like Sion and Yorick do better, but for the moment, it's not too great. Towers are more tanky. People can answer you quite comfortably, and Maiden sometimes. So Yorick isn't doing too hot. Volibear, another split push champion, also not doing too great. He doesn't have an amazing tank item. He's also very tight to Iceborne, so he is forced into AD matchups. A lot of these tanks are forced into AD matchups because that Iceborne is their best option. Sylas is a counterpick to Malphite. That's mostly all he's going to be in the top lane. You'll rarely see him in any other way. Trundle has been nerfed pretty hard. He was a good top laner as a anti-AD, anti-tank threat, but with the nerfs hitting him as hard as they did, Trundle's definitely fallen out of the meta. Well, out of a counter meta option. He still has places, but he's nowhere near as good as he used to be. Karma is not bad, actually. I'm putting Karma down here because most people are itemizing her incorrectly. Radiant Virtue is the way to go on Karma. It's her best mythic, and then I'm pretty sure it's Roa. So those are probably your best two options. You can go Night Harvester as well, I'm pretty sure, on the top lane. You do a lot of damage with that build, and you can poke out people when you need to go a more damage threat build. Making up the C tier will be Vladimir. Vladimir is a really high skill champion, definitely better in the mid lane at the moment. Doesn't have a great time into a lot of the anti-health items, so he's not as strong as he could be. Plus, people are probably building him incorrectly with Heart still. Build Night Harvester into Rabadons. It is his best build. Akali benefited a lot from a Ravenous First build. I don't think Ravenous First would be optimal anymore. It'll probably be back to Night Harvester. And Akali top is just not as good as Akali mid as well. The lane's too long. The threats in there are too tanky. So you tend to see Akali's not as good in the top lane. But below in the mid lane, definitely. Renekton he's just not a great champion. You can have games where you stomp on Renekton. If you're going with Prowler's Call Lethality build, which you kind of have to at the moment, then he can pass as an alright champion. But for the most part, I'd stay away from Renekton. The champ's in a pretty awkward spot where his bruiser builds are pretty bad, and his lethality builds are just a pass. Nah, also a pro play kind of weighed down champion. He's been better. He can go Divine Sunder into a lot of the tanks. He can go Iceborne, and he can go Triforce. He has a couple of options. None of them perform exceedingly well, but the build options are what keep him afloat at the moment. Vayne is a good answer into the tanks, so I'll put her in the top lane. She works quite well into the tanks. Vayne herself at the moment is a pretty weak ADC. You are very, very much needing to pick her into tanks. You can't blind pick Vayne top. You will lose to a lot of things in the top lane. You can answer Darius, but once Darius is Stride Breaker, that matchup becomes a lot harder to play, so be wary. Rumble is a lane bully. He is not much past that. He has good wave clear and control for the first 20 minutes of the game, but he's likely somewhere he falls off really hard when the game goes over an extended period of time. Cho'Gath is also down here. Cho'Gath falls into the same category as Sion, but has the benefit that he can go AP, so he has build diversity, whereas Sion can go AD, but Sion's AD is not anywhere near as good as Cho'Gath's AP variant. Plus, Cho'Gath can provide more CC and control in fights. He can play a bit more range than Sion. Yone is down here because, well, Shobo's not doing amazingly as a mythic. Gale Force might be Yone and Yasuo's best mythic. I'd have to look into it, but it's most likely Bork and Iceborne what you're going to be running on Yone and Yasuo for the moment. If you're playing into like your 80 threats, if not, then Shobo. Gragas is not doing great at the moment. He can, the tank build's basically dead. You won't see tank unless it's an Iceborne tank, Gragas. And Roa isn't great on Gragas either. Night Harvester is the way to go if you're going AP, definitely. He can possibly jump into the B tier. He's definitely a better AP threat, but he's not doing too hot at the moment. Jace is not bad. Like, if you're good at playing Jace, definitely play him. He works well into a lot of the champions. He has really good early game control. He scales all right. He turns into a really strong harass champion. You can get a lot of poke from this champ. First strike is really nice for Jace as well. Definitely consider playing Jace if you're good at piloting the champ. If not, probably avoid Jace. You can get LP easier with other champs. Kennen is also going to be down here. Kennen lacks the damage to kill tanks. He is much more of a CC bot and a poke bot in laning phase. I've never been a huge fan of Kennen. You are it's like now where you are a lane bully and then you are very reliant on your ult later on into the game. When it's a conditional kind of champion, it feels a lot worse. But Kennen's not bad. You can play him as a harass and an AP threat in the top lane if you need AP threats. Okay, so now I want to talk about the main thing here, Rise of the Battle Mages. We're going to start seeing this, I think, a lot more, where there are a lot of mages who work in the top lane. Your Cassidans, your Swains, your Malzahars, these are actually pretty alright top laners. I'm not putting them any higher at the moment because there's not enough games on them, but they all seem to be doing pretty well. So definitely consider playing them. I'll be putting more mages in the A tier, and I'll talk about them as well. Graves, Ravenous continuously being nerfed is definitely hard. Graves lane, it's not gonna be the monster that everyone thought it'd be going into going into season 2023, but it still works, just not as good as it used to be. Kayle is definitely better than she was last season. More XP in lane is definitely better for Kayle. Plus, her AD build is not doing too bad at the moment. AD build can sometimes work better than AP build if you're going your wits into your Kraken or wits into your Bulk. You have a lot of options there. Lilia was once an S tier top laner, now B tier. She's not bad. She's just been nerfed a lot of times to the point where I can no longer say she's S tier. She's also a very counter pick champion. Gwen is kind of in the same boat as Lilia, except from Gwen's harder to play than Lilia, but Gwen can answer into more champs than Lilia, so Gwen is around the same tier. Tahm Kench was lower before, got buffed. If you're building Tahm Kench correctly, where you're going either your Jaxxa, your Heartsteel into Demonics, I like the Heartsteel Demonics build. It provides a lot of scaling on the champion, allows him to be a late game terror. Tahm Kench does a lot of damage. Like, his passive scales really hard with AP once you have your Heartsteel Demonics. If you want a fun tank to play at the moment, who like scales really hard and it is actually kind of viable, Tahm Kench is definitely worth considering playing. You'll have a lot of fun playing him in the new season if they don't nerf it. Definitely. I think one of the key things people miss when going into these new seasons is play a champ who you enjoy and you're good at. Is definitely better than playing something which is meta. Playing a meta champion it will help you definitely, but you don't want to be a meta slave when you're not like great. You don't want to falsely convince yourself that you're good at a champion when realistically you're not enjoying them. So really you're not actually great of a champion. Playing something which you enjoy and you're good at, it can be better than playing the meta, definitely. There are times when obviously your champ struggles so much, like Sion, that playing something higher and playing something up in a higher tier than him is definitely worth considering, but definitely play what you enjoy. So Quinn and Teemo, very strong lane bullies at the moment. Both have blinds. Yeah, I mean, Quinn's is a near sight, but yeah, both are pretty good at the moment. Quinn is an AD threat, Teemo is an AP threat. Jax is a strong champion as well. People seem to itemize Jax wrong though. You've got to choose when you're itemizing your Sheen items correctly. Your Iceborne, your Triforce, your Divine Cinderer, all are good options in Jax. Malphite. Malphite is definitely a lot better than he used to be. The buffs to Malphite definitely helped him. His E does a lot more damage. The problem is we're going to start seeing tanks gain a lot more damage, and Malphite is already is a victim of this, where he's gaining damage. Malphite, if you play him in the right spot, is really good. He is A tier, definitely, if you're playing him into AD threats. But because a lot of people like to play Malphite into, well, just any game, Malphite does struggle into AP threats a lot. He will lose into most. He will lose into Ornn, for example. Ornn is nowhere near as strong as he used to be last season. Jaxxa is his best mythic. It got nerfed. We'll have to see how they adjust to Jaxxa. Ornn is still a decent champion for his reliability in upgrading allies' items, but he's not the same tank as he used to be. More tanky, loss of damage, definitely. Argot. I originally presumed Argot would be better off with Heartsteel towards the beginning of the season, but it looks like Argot's best builds are just the lethality ones again. Your Prowler's Claw into your Titanic Black Cleaver is probably his most optimal build. You can go Eclipse on Argot as well, but Prowler's Claw is probably his best option. Pantheon is a Bork Eclipse champion. Definitely go Bork Eclipse on Pantheon. Pantheon's pretty good. He works really well as an early game cheese champion. If you're going PTA Bork Eclipse, he does a lot of damage. Gangplank is here because a lot of people can't play Gangplank. A lot of people itemize Gangplank badly. more people are itemizing him correctly compared to what they used to be. But Essence 3, the Proud Score build is a lot more popular with First Strike, which is by far his best build. It's definitely helped him. Make sure you go Navori on Gangplank. It is his best option out of Navori and IE. Tryndamere, it was was a Ravenous Rush. I'm pretty sure he still will be a Ravenous Rush. It might be Gale Force again, or Gale Force or Kraken again. And then you go your Phantom Dancer, Navori, or Phantom Dancer IE, depending on which kind of playstyle you're going for. Navori is pretty nice on Tryndamere, so definitely consider it. Riven, definitely not as good as she used to be. She's out of the 4 horsemen, she's the weakest at the moment. She's a very high skill champion, but the items aren't as good on her as they are on the other champions. Your Ravenous into your Gold Drinker is going to be a cool build. Make sure you go Lucidities. Spirit Shogun does work on her. I don't know if it's her best third option. It might be. Death Stance is also worth going on her. Poppy, really good answer into a lot of the meta at the moment. When the meta obviously gets nerfed, changed, Poppy will fall. For the moment, she's staying strong though, so fair enough. Maokai got buffed massively. The Q damage went up quite a significant amount. The passive healing went up. Maokai is more of a support. Like, if you're playing Maokai, playing a support, he's once again going to be a support-only champ. Or support and jungler. They keep over-buffing his jungle. He is currently an OP jungler and an OP support at the moment. If they nerf Maokai, there is a chance they nerf Maokai going into Season 13. It would be unfortunate, but I wouldn't be surprised. He's not really played top lane again anymore. Heimerdinger, Victor, and Anivia, and Cassiopeia, actually. All 4 of these mages are really, really strong in the top lane at the moment for different reasons. Well, mostly kind of for the similar reasons. All 4 of them have great control. They also have great Leandri's capability. They also have, Anivia has really good Roa capability as well. These 4 battle mages are really strong, so definitely consider playing them if you enjoy battle mages in the top lane. Soraka. This is a biased one of mine. I think Soraka top's actually really good. You have to learn it, but the amount of map presence you can have, you can beat people in lane. You're less gold reliant than other champs in lane as well. She's really, really strong, so don't sleep on Soraka. Warwick is actually having the best season in the top lane I think he's ever had. Warwick top is really good. Lots more people are playing it. Your Ravenous into your Jack Show seems to be the core. You can go Divine Syndra, you can go Triforce as well. Warwick has a lot of options, so definitely consider learning Warwick if you want a more cheese-focused top laner. He's probably the best in his role at the moment. Garen is a pretty safe, reliable top laner. Stride Breaker, Mortal Reminder. Well, these items are going to be his core for the most part. He synergizes well with them, so it doesn't surprise me. You go into your Deadmans and your Fawn afterwards as well. Garen's doing pretty well, so definitely consider playing Garen if you want a fairly easy top laner to pick up. On the other hand, Aurelio and Akshan, very hard top laners to play. Only play these champs if you're really, really confident on them and you're like, you've played a lot of games in practice on these. If you're really good at playing Aurelio, she is S tier, definitely. She'll beat most top laners in the game. She is a very high skill champion. Akshan actually liked the Storm Razor and LDR changes. Akshan's one of a few champions in the game which can build Storm Razor and have relative success with it, so definitely benefited from both of those changes. Akshan is always going to be a pretty strong top laner as well. He is a very lane bully heavy champion. Definitely worth playing if you're good at him. If you're not great at playing these two champions, Nasus is also really good at the moment. Once you hit level 6 as Nasus, he basically loses to no one. I mean, he loses to a couple of champions, but it's a fairly minimal amount. As long as you're playing safe and you can get your Lucidities and your Sheen, you hit level 6, you hit level 9, Nasus spikes really hard into the mid game. Nasus actually has a harder time going late into the game because people can kite him out. He can't get in range to actually kill you, and he can really struggle. Flash Ghost is the way to go. Nasus is a pretty fun, good champion at the moment. Mordekaiser is going to continue to be the best anti-meta, the best meta answer, the strongest anti-meta champion, you could say. Mord beats a lot of the good champions. He beats your Shens, your Mundos, your Zacs. Loses to Fiora, that's probably a ban, but he beats most of the other ones. So Mordekaiser, really good. Good AP threat. I definitely recommend learning Mordekaiser as an AP threat of a top laner. He is usually the best or around there. Alawi. Alawi's really good at the moment. You've got to be able to learn tentacle placement and how to and you've got to be good at using your abilities in laning phase. It's a really crucial and core part of Alawi, being able to bully your laner correctly and throw down your ultimates at the correct time. So Alawi's a pretty hard champion to learn, but she's pretty strong at the moment, so definitely consider it. Set is really good at the moment. Stop building Bork on Set. It's bad. Well, for the most part, it's bad. Build Bork on Set into high health stacking comps. Don't build it other than that. Build Gore Drinker or Stridebreaker, please. Set is a lot better than people are actually giving him credit for. I dislike Set as a champion. I don't like champions which are early game skewed, but Set himself at the moment is really strong and people are really missing like the correct builds on him. Wukong, also really good at the moment. Ravenous, Jack-Show, Divine Cinderer. He has a lot of options of what he can do. But AD buff on his ult makes him really strong at level 6 as well. He has a lot of damage and he beats out most laners, top laners in the game early on. Same goes for Kled. Kled is really strong at the moment. Ravenous and Eclipse are really good options on him. You can go Ravenous Jack-Show as well. Kled, really good champ. Definitely consider learning him if you want something into healing and close range skirmisher based champions. He beats most. Cassante. Cassante can be an S tier champ. I think Cassante's people's perception of Cassante is he's strong, but you have to be good at playing him. Cassante is a really, really high skill champion. You can bully lanes with Cassante. Your shield bash, your Q procs, your passive Q procs. Stuff like this is all really important on Cassante, and being able to auto-weave is a very core part of his kit. Aatrox, not as good as he used to be. Aatrox's shine was obviously last season. He's been hit by it with a couple of nerfs, but Aatrox now goes like your Ravenous Jack-Show build. It works pretty well on him, so definitely you can go Ravenous Eclipse, Ravenous Jack-Show, Ravenous Gore Drinker. They all work pretty well. Even Stridebreaker works pretty well as an option. Aatrox, he's still good. He's just not as strong as he used to be. Singed. Singed is always like my favorite kind of Singed is really good at Singed is probably the best disrupt champ in the game. Singed has insane team fight disrupt and it makes him a menace. Once you have Rylai's, Demonics, and Jack-Show on Singed, or Riftmaker. They might go back to running Riftmaker on Singed. He is really, really strong. That 3-item core on Singed makes him one of the best champions in the game. Olaf is really, really strong early game. He scales a lot better than he used to as well. And his team fight is not bad. If you keep your ult going, you're being helped by some sort of shielder or healer, then Olaf is really good. Shen. This is mostly because of his map presence. Shen has insane map presence, and it makes him a really, really valuable asset for the team. He can nullify most laning phases and even bully some of them out. So Shen is really, really good. He is almost always an S tier champion. You rarely see Shen go anywhere else other than S tier. Definitely consider playing Shen. Rengar. Rengar is a very, very hard champion to play. I know very few people who can pull this off, but when they do, it is basically unplayable. You can't play into this champion. He pressures you super hard in lane. He can 100-0 you really comfortably. The wave clear is fine when you go the Ravenous build. If you want the Ravenous build, Essence Reaver, Eclipse work really well on him. Rengar is really good. Definitely worth trying Rengar. You can also go the Gore Drinker build on him as well. Very high skill champ though. Camille. Camille is really good at the moment. True damage, Synergize as well, Divine Cinderer, Triforce. Both work into the certain places where you want to build them. Ravenous is also a good option on Camille. Pretty strong champ. Darius, constantly going to be the best oppressive lane bully in the game. He stomps most champs purely because of the amount of damage output he has. When you have the bleed stacks going, you are the highest base AD champ in the game, I'm pretty sure. Well, the highest AD champ when you have that fully stacked. makes Darius really strong. He loses very few laning phases. The ones he does are more niche. He's worth trying, and I will recommend this champion because he is almost always meta. Mundo is really strong at the moment. They'll probably nerf him again, wouldn't surprise me, but Mundo synergizes incredibly well with Heartsteel. This item is a must on him because it gives you more health, which gives your E more damage. You basically have a built-in Titanic now, and that makes Mundo super strong. It removed his weakness where he was very tied to his R before, and now he is, well, his damage is on his E, so Mundo will continue to be strong. They gave him very light nerfs in the B patch, so definitely try him. He's fun to play. He'll probably get nerfed again, but if they don't nerf him, if they nerf him too hard, then he will probably drop quite a bit, but if they nerf him a very light amount, then he will stay strong. Zac is my favorite, like, hidden OP pick at the moment. He got massively buffed last patch. Jack shows really nice on him. You have a lot of options. You can go Radiant Burst, you can go Heartsteel. Make sure you check out the guide, which I posted yesterday. I will put a link in the description for that, and I'll probably have it in the end screen. So definitely check that out. And Fiora. Fiora is going to continue to be the queen of the top lane until they actually give her some nerfs. They haven't yet, surprisingly. I'm guessing they're probably saving it for the first patch of the season. But who knows? Maybe Fiora doesn't get nerfed and she sits atop of the meta going into preseason. I keep saying preseason, into the new season. So yeah, that's the tier list for today. If you enjoyed the content, make sure you check out the Patreon. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.